Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The government has lost control of welfare. The benefits bill is ballooning. Sickness benefits alone will cost us £109 billion by the end of the decade. Working age benefits are costing £161 billion right now and rising. But instead of bringing forward welfare savings, Labour MPs have chosen to spend ever more on benefits. Just the other day, they backed an extra £3 billion spending on scrapping the two-child benefit cap. All paid for in the same way. Paid for by taxpayers, by hard-working people, by the businesses who employ them. First they tax jobs, and then they wonder why there are fewer of them. Let me tell them, if you tax it, you get less of it.
Exactly.
Under Labour, unemployment has gone up month after month. Youth unemployment now rivals Greece at over 16%. That's 1 in 6 young people out of work, wanting unemployment but denied the chance. And a university degree won't save them either. 700,000 graduates are out of work and nearly 1 million young people are not in education, employment or training. So many young people have done everything asked of them, studied hard, done their exams, got their grades, but now they are getting rejection after rejection to their job applications. This government is letting down a whole generation. And the Secretary of State knows it. He said so himself this week on the radio. He talked about the scarring effects of youth unemployment, worse mental health, worse outcomes, even lower life expectancy. On that he's right. So why is his government making it so much worse? Because let's be clear about what this new policy is. It is not a jobs plan or a serious new deal for young people. It is a sticking plaster and an expensive one, costing over £1 billion. State subsidised jobs to replace the real ones that Labour have killed.
Exactly.
Now, the Secretary of State has laid into our record on apprenticeships. But he knows perfectly well that the drop he refers to happened because we raised the standards of apprenticeships to make them a qualification that would actually count and to make them a meaningful alternative to university, not just a way for businesses to get cheaper workers. So I warn him in his reforms not just to chase higher numbers, quality matters. And why are they doing nothing about dead-end degrees and mounting student debt? Why not adopt our policy of cutting back on low-value degrees and use that saving to increase apprenticeships, the policy we have announced? But no, this government's answer is to just go back cap in hand to the taxpayer. Now, at the end of his statement, the right honourable gentleman talked about welfare reform. But why do we never hear the important word savings? I think we know why. They tried and failed to make welfare savings last summer. What's changed since then? The Prime Minister is only weaker and more indecisive, though the problem becomes ever more urgent. Today's PIP figures show that claims are up again. There are over 300,000 more people on PIP since Labour took over, a rise of 9%, and young people claiming PIP has risen by 14%. There are nearly 100,000 more people claiming benefits for mental health and neurodiversity. I've been clear, this can't go on. Benefits are not the right answer. Work is better for you. People who can work should work. Now, the Secretary of State needs to answer some questions. This extra billion he's just announced for state-funded jobs, where exactly is that money coming from? Will this latest plan actually bring down youth unemployment? And by how much? Will it even touch the sides? How will he stop fraudulent claims on this cash? How will he make sure that no one actually loses their job because of his cash handouts? How will he make sure all this spending actually makes a difference rather than subsidising employment that would have happened anyway? And does he accept that taxing jobs on the one hand and then subsidising them on the other is not an economic strategy? It's the economics of the madhouse. And finally, on the benefits bill, can he at least agree with me that the benefits bill needs to come down? Perhaps he could take the chance of using the word savings. Does he see the irony, feel my déjà vu of another plan for welfare reform from his party that actually spends more money rather than saves it? When will he bring forward a plan which will actually bring down the benefits bill? Yeah. And when he talks about welfare reform, is this it?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. A statement from the Honourable Lady that I fear was written without listening to a word that was in the statement that he put forward. What she has confirmed today is that the party opposite not only bequeathed us the problem, but that they have learnt nothing about how to tackle it. No statement of responsibility, no statement of regret, no apology for the record on youth apprenticeships. In fact, she defended cutting the youth apprenticeship starts, just a continued pretence that somehow all of this just started 2 years ago. She asks where the funding comes from to help young people. The funding comes from stable management of the economy, something that they know nothing about and something that we have practiced for the past 2 years. And young people to whom all of this is aimed, will have heard her today disparage efforts to get them into work and to give them more opportunity. They will have heard her dismiss our changes to boost youth apprenticeships. They will have heard her pretend that you can somehow wish all this away with tax changes, proving they've learnt nothing from their disastrous management of the economy. They will have heard her say that this doesn't offer young people anything, when we have announced a plan to give young people a new deal with more jobs and more apprenticeships, and that is the difference between our approach and theirs. I want to give young people in this country opportunities to get skills, to get a job, to get off benefits and to build a better life for themselves. That is much better than kicking the ladder away and leaving the system unchanged, which is what they did. So how does she explain that the number of NEETs rose by 250,000 in the last 3 years in which they were in power? How does she explain their lack of action in dealing with this? And when it comes to welfare, what I have said today is very clear and very simple, that the best means of welfare reform is to put work and opportunity at the heart of the system, and that is what we're doing with this plan.
Troy Morrissey.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the national insurance tax rise and the upcoming employment rights bills are just two of the reasons that businesses are on their knees. And I welcome the government's youth guarantee, but how can the government guarantee jobs when there won't be any businesses to be giving those jobs to?
Well, I welcome her welcome of the youth guarantee. And perhaps she might have a word with her front bench colleague, because we didn't get a welcome for this from the front bench. She asks about national insurance, but the problem is not new. What is new is the package of help for young people that I've announced today.
Sir Ian Duncan-Smith.
Madam Deputy Speaker, say to the honourable gentleman I've known for a long time, with a lot of respect for him and his position he's in. The key thing here, though, as I observe it, is one of the big problems is the competition between younger people with no experience and older people. Now, he's focusing on younger people, and one of the things that we learned the hard way in this was that you have to do something that moves older people through the system faster as well. We put up the work programme at the time, which didn't cost the government any money because it was payment by results. And I suggest when he goes back to the deal, he has a look at that. That's focused on the longer-term older people. That moves them through the jobs. The second point is the criticism of national insurance. It's not his decision. I recognise this. It comes from the Treasury. Endlessly, you will have disputes with the Treasury. But the Treasury, in lowering that threshold, yes, it doesn't apply to those under 21, but what it does do, put a block in the system, because then the risks to those who want to hire the younger people are at the same time blocking off older people coming into work for that same reason. And I would suggest to him, he says, let's do a proper setup so we understand we've got to get the older people into work and the younger people, not just the younger people.
Secretary of State.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I have a lot of respect for the right honourable gentleman. I walk past his picture every morning. He was responsible for a major reform to the welfare system with the introduction of universal credit. But after that, his party stopped reforming the system, and that we're seeing the costs of that, particularly with what's happened in the last few years. On the work programme, I'm of course happy to look at any successful programme to help people into work. We have more than one of these in the department, and they should all be evaluated. And the point he makes that's important is you do need to get support to people to overcome some of the barriers to get into work. With regard to national insurance, as I've said, of course, all these things are costs for business, but this isn't a new problem. This is a deep-rooted, long-term problem, and we need new answers to it, and that's why I've brought forward the package I have today.
Rosie Wrighting.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. My generation faced deep generational inequalities over the last decade. That didn't happen by accident. It was the result of years of decision-making where the party opposite chose austerity over investment into the future generation. Nowhere is that clearer than the fact that 1 in 8 young people are not in education, employment or work. A generation lost. So what steps is the Secretary of State taking to ensure his department and the government is hearing directly from young people so we can fully understand the barriers they face when entering work?
Secretary of State.
I thank my honourable friend for her question. She's right that a ratio of 1 in 8 is too high. It grew a lot in the last few years, and she asks about discussions with young people themselves, and I think she makes a really important point, because when I talk to young people, they tell me they want to work. They want to make the most of themselves. They just need a platform that will help them. And in every part of the programme that we brought forward today, whether it's the apprenticeship changes, the help for the long-term young unemployed, the short apprenticeship courses, or the hiring bonus themselves, the motivation that I've had is to give young people that platform upon which to stand and take the next step in their lives.
Simon Hall.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, it frankly beggars belief that the right honourable gentleman doesn't understand the impact that the government's policies on business, on tax and on regulation have had on the confidence of businesses up and down the country to invest and to employ. There is a direct causal link, and nobody will understand why the Secretary of State doesn't make that link and persuade the Treasury to do something about it. But my direct question to the Secretary of State is this: why does he think that unemployment is always higher at the end of a Labour government?
The OBR predicts unemployment to peak this year and fall in every year of the forecast. Now, they of course they disparage the forecast. Well, I should gently remind them that disparaging the OBR didn't work out too well for them a few years ago. And in fact, I make a more serious point. The country is still paying the price for the fact that they did it, so I suggest that they learn the lesson.
Andrew Pearce.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I thank my right honourable friend for the care and consideration he has given in putting this package together. Madam Deputy Speaker, I am delighted today to be joined in the House by some inspiring apprentices from Caterpillar in my own constituency who have been talking about their experiences into work. This matters in Peterborough because we have one of the highest levels of youth unemployment for a generation that needs tackling. Can my right honourable friend assure me that the work we're doing won't just benefit large employers like Caterpillar, but will also put in place opportunities in the supply chain for small and medium-sized enterprises, so the brilliance of the apprenticeships we've got at Caterpillar are extended to more and more young people in Peterborough?
Well, can I thank my honourable friend for his deep interest in this issue. I've visited his constituency. I give a warm welcome to the apprentices from Peterborough here today. He asks in particular about supply chains and small and medium-sized businesses. Those small and medium-sized businesses will benefit from the hiring bonus for a young apprentice, which is why the Federation of Small Business has welcomed this package, describing it as a game changer and a decisive move forward.
Wendy Martin.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. For this scheme to work, you need vacancies for young people, and yet we have a government that's squeezing the very businesses that are needed to create opportunities and jobs for young people. Business rates, energy costs, national insurance increases, and the result, sadly, is businesses are going bust up and down the country and unemployment is going up. So rather than apply an expensive sticking plaster to this problem, can I urge the Secretary of State to speak with the Chancellor and ask her to reverse the jobs tax?
Secretary of State.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I warmly welcome the Chancellor's support for this package and her help to me in putting it together. She mentioned vacancies. There are about 700,000 vacancies in the economy. There are 50,000 vacancies in manufacturing. I attended a jobs fair in Blackpool a couple of weeks ago where there were almost 1,000 jobs allocated on the day. There are vacancies there, but we've got to help young people be in a position to be trained, to have the confidence, to have the skills and to have the support to take them up.